Alright, welcome to CRJ 134. This week is our last week discussing a chapter of the book, and we're finishing with chapter 16, which looks at juvenile corrections. And really there's a wide choice of correctional treatments that are available for juveniles. Community treatment is based on the idea that the offender is not a danger to the community and has a better chance of being rehabilitated within the community. Now, although the major developments in community treatment have really occurred in the 20th century, its roots go back much further. In the United States, juvenile probation really developed as part of the wave of social reform characterizing the latter half of the 19th century. Now, probation was a cornerstone really in the development of the juvenile court system. So why do you think it's still the most commonly given disposition today? Now, by the mid-1960s, juvenile probation had become a very complex institution that touched the lives of a lot of juveniles. Many experts believe that institutionalizing the most serious delinquent youth is a mistake. So reformers believe that confinement in a high-security facility wouldn't solve the problems that brought the youth into that delinquent way of life to begin with, and that the experience could actually maybe amplify the delinquency once the youth returned to the community. Now, traditional probation is still the backbone of community-based corrections. In fact, in most jurisdictions, it's a direct judicial order that allows a youth who is found to be delinquent or a status offender to remain in the community under court-ordered supervision. In the juvenile court, probation is often ordered for an indefinite period of time. So, is that fair, or should it be a more specified time? Now, probation conditions are rules that mandate a juvenile on probation behaves in a particular way. So if you look at figure 16.2, you'll see some of the different options that are available in probation. Now, community corrections has traditionally emphasized rehabilitation. And really since 1980, there's been a more conservative approach towards social control. So now, while the rehabilitative ideals of probation have not been abandoned, there have been new programs developed that add a controlled dimension to community corrections. What do you think about these programs that they call Probation Plus? Do you support them? Why or why not? Now, juvenile intensive probation supervision involves treating offenders who would normally have been sent to a secure treatment facility as part of a very small probation caseload that receives almost daily scrutiny. Now, those programs really get mixed reviews as to whether or not they're successful and effective. Some jurisdictions find that they are more successful than traditional probation supervision and come at a much cheaper cost than incarceration. However, there are some studies that indicate that the failure rate is high and that young offenders who commit petty crimes are the most likely to fail when in these types of programs. Now, in recent years, some jurisdictions have turned to a balanced probation approach. This approach builds on the principles of restorative justice by integrating community protection, the accountability of the offender, and individualized attention to that offender. These programs are based on the view that the juveniles are responsible for their actions and they have an obligation to society whenever they commit an offense. So what do you think about the efficacy or the efficiency of these types of programs? Are there certain circumstances where they may be more effective? Now, many experts believe that institutionalization of even the most serious delinquent use is a mistake. So research has shown that the most effective secure corrections programs provide an individualized approach. Now, large training schools really haven't proved to be effective, and that realization has produced a wide variety of residential community treatment programs. And really, when you look at the typical resident of one of these facilities, it's a 17-year-old white male incarcerated for an average stay of 3.5 months in a public facility or maybe 4 months in a private facility. Now, in general, individual treatment programs are built around combinations of psychotherapy, reality therapy, and behavior modification. There's also individual counseling. That's one of the most common treatment approaches. Now, another aspect of sentencing is boot camps. So correctional boot camps are really designed with the idea of combining the get tough elements of an adult program with the education, substance abuse treatment, and social skills training that are necessary for juveniles. Now, in theory, such an approach should rehabilitate the offender, reduce the number of beds that are needed in secure facilities, and then actually result in a reduced overall cost of care. However, not too many are convinced that people that participate in those programs have lower recidivism rates than those who serve normal sentences. So I challenge you to think about why that might be the case. Now, when you look about aftercare in the juvenile justice system, it's really the equivalent of parole in the adult system. So when juveniles are released from an institution, they're placed in some type of aftercare program, so they're not just simply returned to the community. And the book talks about several of those programs. One of the questions you have to consider is, are those programs effective? And so when you look at the juvenile system as a whole, we've come a long ways, but there's still a long ways to go. Hopefully you've enjoyed this course, and hopefully I'll see you next semester.